Hey everyone, Tony D with a hot take on Don Lemon at CNN, and I got little Joan with me. Say hi, little Joan. Little Joan, wake up. Little Joan, don't hide your head now. Anyhow, I talked about the Civil War that could brew in the United States. I don't really think we're going to have a civil war, but if we do, it'll be because of clips like
Of
this.
course.
Um,
Of course, he's just trying to demean her, and
so
obviously
this
it's
is
false. And look, he also knows deep in his heart that Donald
Don
Trump couldn't
Lemon
find
and
Ukraine on a
his
map
guest.
if you had the letter U and a picture of an actual physical crane next to it. He knows that this is, an administration defined by ignorance of the world, and so that's partly him playing to their base and playing to their
So you can
audience.
see, like Don Lemon, I don't even think
Credulous
this laughter is
boomer
real. I
demo
think
that backs Donald Trump, that wants to think that Donald Trump's a smart one, and y'all elitists are dumb.
yeah, I mean, you can just see these guys. They think everybody who supports Trump's a hillbilly, and really, you're talking about half the country. And it's different. If a guy on YouTube does it, that's one thing. But when you're supposedly CNN, the most trusted name in news, you probably shouldn't be doing this stuff.
You elitists with your geography and your maps and your spelling, even though my
Your math and your reading.
yeah, you're reading, you know, your geography, knowing other countries, sipping your latte.
All those lines on the map.
Only them elitists know where Ukraine is. Sorry, I apologize.
Oh yeah, you sound real sorry. This is the kind of stuff that it's going to drive people right to Trump, right to Trump. I mean, the idea that at this point people don't know where Ukraine is. The problem is the distinction is nobody cares. Okay, the United States and the people in the United States are not responsible for what happened in the Ukraine or what's happening in the Ukraine. We don't want to be responsible. We don't want to give them $1 billion. We don't want to give away our money when we have problems here. Okay, uh, the Ukraine will figure it out. The Russians will figure it out, and if they end up back in the Russians' orbit, who cares? The only people who care are people like the Bidens who've got a vested interest in it. People like, the people connected to Burisma. Those people in energy companies, they care. Okay? We don't care. The average person doesn't care because we don't want to pay for this. All right? If you, a big energy company out there, want to pay to, I don't know, bribe the people in the Ukraine to get what you want, that's on you. Don't drag us and the government into it too. These guys are, you know, NPR reporter says Pompeo cursed and demanded she find Ukraine on a map after interview. This is all the same people making these
But by,
statements.
but by the way,
Ukraine. Oh my God.
but you know what? It was
And,
Rick's
and
fault.
and like Don Lemon,
But
to me, I mean, when Trump calls him the stupidest man in news, I mean,
Sorry, hold on.
Can I
this
tell
is
you-
just stupid.
Hold on.
Oh, come on. That's just fake,
Rick,
You-
that was a good
in my
one. You
view.
needed
That looks
Okay,
fake
so
as hell.
Can I
Let's
tell
get
you
back
what?
to business here. Let's get
But can
back
I
to
tell you what
business.
NPR should do? NPR should take a black Sharpie, circle it all around that whole subcontinent, around Bangladesh and Ukraine, and just be like, there's Ukraine right in the middle.
All right, so-
Just an
I mean, and this is how dumb this guy is. He thinks that people in the general populace outside the big cities are going to listen to NPR. I mean, NPR couldn't be more left leaning. It's extremely politically biased. You want to talk about elitist? That you want to know somebody who's an elitist the moment they mention, oh, and I listen to NPR. I mean, I've listened to NPR. I find that most of the shows are really boring, and they don't. They could be doing all the cool stuff that podcasts can be doing, but they're kind of past their time. You know, the cool stuff they could have been doing, the stuff that was cool was like 20, 30 years ago. That stuff was cool on NPR. Now that's all over the internet. You don't need NPR. Um, they are from the era where that was one of the few sources for, kind of obscure and quirky things, and now they're just. It seems to me they just feel like a mouthpiece for, the people who are liberal and still, talk about politics like this. Only the people at NPR are smart enough not to do this on air. You know what I mean? So
Honor of Donald Trump.
A U with a crane on it.
yeah, ha ha ha.
All right, so
Look,
listen, Rick.
look, they were even ready. They were even ready to show Bangladesh, the wrong country, as Ukraine. They were even ready with this map. So, I mean, this kind of mocking, I mean, it just shows you how, to me, CNN has fallen apart. The quality, I think, of the people working there um, has gotten lower, okay? Because a, a true journalist, true news people, they would be horrified by this. They'd be horrified by this kind of behavior on air, because they would know that this is going to alienate and anger a lot of potential viewers, right? And you want viewers. The whole point of having, the whole reason CNN has ended up in the sorry state that it's in my opinion, is that it chased ratings. This is not even chasing ratings. Uh, they chased the Trump bump down a rabbit hole, and pretty much disregarded almost all of the news. Now, they're basically turning into a kind of opposite troll channel. You can't. First off, these guys can't possibly hope to beat Trump in terms of trolling. I mean,
This is
this
between Pompeo
this
and
is.
Kelly. It's not the first time that he is bristled under tough questioning from journalists.
Yeah. Now see, now he's trying to get back to being serious, to doing some serious news. How could you take this serious after that? The only people who are still watching at this point are people who you're already preaching to the choir, and even those, people got to look at this and go, well, that was unseemly. I really wish they hadn't done that. It was probably uncomfortable even for them to watch that segment, because when you spend all day on your network talking about, well, Trump, he acts like an idiot. He's so vile and horrible and repulsive. Well, he's brought out that horrible and repulsiveness in you, because this is, in that realm. This is something Trump would do, right? Mocking your opponents. But, in comedy, there's a rule about punching up. And it's one thing to make fun of Trump and get him on something that he generally did that was stupid. It's another thing to make fun of his supporters. To make fun of his supporters is punching way down, way down. There are a lot of supporters of Trump that, they're working, and they're pulling their lives together, after years of struggling. Jobs are coming back, the economy's booming, and these are the guys, from most people's perspective, that stand on top of their ivory towers and go, no, 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 don't listen to this guy. This guy is horrible. Meanwhile, you're getting full-time work for the first time in years, and you're building up, a nest egg, and these guys are telling you, well, that's bad. That's bad because of things that have nothing to do with you, like the Ukraine. It's bad that we're not sending billions of dollars to the Ukraine. How? That's the issue these guys should be talking about. Does Ukraine? Should we even be meddling with the Ukraine? Meddling with the Ukraine, and I've said this before, is like the Russians meddling in with Mexico. It would be like the Russian Federation sending them $1 billion to build up their army, you know, just to protect their border. And I don't think anyone in the United States would be comfortable with that at all. Um, you know, so, but it is a more complicated issue over in the Ukraine and Russia, because what you have to understand, and I've said this before, is that the Soviets bust in hundreds or thousands of Russians into the Ukraine to kind of push the local populace further west. And you know, if you spoke Ukrainian, you were considered a hillbilly. You know, the Russians got all the key jobs and, you know, made all the money, and the Ukrainians were pushed, you know, behind. So there's a lot of resentment towards the Russians in the Ukraine. And then, you know, it goes back to the mass starvation that the Soviets instituted. Um, and so the Ukrainians have a lot of anger towards the Russians. They do not want to be ruled by the Russians. But at the same time, they are Russian. And, you know, half the country is Russian. So they identify more with the Federation. And quite frankly, it's a country that it needs help, and you know, for the United States to help this country too. And the other thing is, you know, it's incredibly corrupt. So it's difficult for us to even monitor that corruption. We can't even monitor the corruption in our own system. We have insane amounts of corruption at the Pentagon. So how do you expect to monitor, you know, $1 billion worth of goods going into the Ukraine? You know, when you only have so many people that speak the language, and you know, your overall goal isn't even really to help the Ukraine. Your overall goal is to screw over Russia, to keep them from building a pipeline to Europe. I mean, there's so many goals and conflicting agendas over there. So we should be out of the Ukraine. We should be out of the Middle East, and that's an important topic. These guys, you know, they're just interested in tearing down Trump because, you know, their guy's not in. You know, where was all this scrutiny during Obama? You know, wasn't there. Wasn't there. And quite frankly, going after Trump for being an asshole is such low-hanging fruit. That in and of itself is punching down. You know, Trump is a jerk. He has been for a long time. You're not going to out-jerk him. There's just no way. So these guys. Okay.
Did you do enough?
And Don Lemon's still laughing. So, I haven't watched CNN in probably, 2 years now. You know, other than the clips you get on YouTube. So, and with good reason. I mean, what good is it, in my view? I don't see any good coming out of CNN. I don't feel that it's an informative thing. I mean, even with, the Trump rally in Wildwood, I'm trying to get some news. Local news is way better on reporting that kind of stuff. And websites, Watch the Tram Car, Please, which is a Facebook page. They're reporting it. And, you're getting live pictures from down there, live streams. And it's a lot easier to find that kind of stuff. Maybe the news channels are just obsolete. Maybe we're back to sort of the local news and sort of a town crier model. But Don Lemon, you really should rethink. That's a funny stuff. You really should rethink how you're approaching this. In my view, maybe at this point it's too late. I mean, CNN is kind of going down the tubes in terms of their ratings. There are people on YouTube getting more hits more viewers, and even gaming YouTube, so that people are kind of forced to look at CNN clips. You know, good luck with that. Good luck with that. This is why everybody's leaving I think, to go to BitChute and other platforms. So, you know, if we're gonna have a civil war, you know, this will be a clip that people will remember, and you know, they're gonna remember Don Lemon as a figurehead for the other side, and you know, you can't really get more elitist than this clip here. So, good luck to you, Lemon, you wacko.